after making a series of big moves this month, including firing Robert Saleh, essentially demoting Nathaniel Hackett, trading for Davante Adams, and convincing Hassan Reddick to end his holdout, the Jets sit at 2-6 and are last in the AFC East, and they just dropped a heartbreaker to New England on Sunday. Now they get yet another short week with their fifth game of the season with less than a week of rest when they host the 6-2 Houston Texans at MetLife Stadium. The Texans are fresh off a hard-fought divisional win against the Colts, but it came at a cost as Stephon Diggs is now out for the year with a torn ACL. The Texans' offense was already without their top receiver Nico Collins, so that leaves Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, and Robert Woods as the last men standing. It remains to be seen if the Texans make a trade for another receiver, where rumors include current Jets wide receiver Mike Williams, but for now, they are holding steady. CJ Stroud is having a solid second year at quarterback for the Texans, with a higher completion percentage than last season, but is turning the ball over at a higher rate. But given the fact that the Jets defense couldn't seem to stop backup Jacoby Brissett last week after Drake May went down, CJ Stroud could be in for a big night even without his primary targets playing. Former Bengals star running back Joe Mixon leads the way in the Texans' backfield, averaging 100 yards per game on the ground and making an impact in the passing game with 14 receptions against the Jets defense that has not been terrible against the run, but are also not great against it either, as they are right in the middle of the pack in rushing yards allowed and have not had the same edge on defense since Saleh was let go and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich was promoted to interim head coach. The offense for the Jets has been a mixed bag and often goes as Aaron Rodgers goes. If Rodgers is taking care of the ball and can avoid pressure, then the offense generally plays well enough to win games. But then something else inevitably goes wrong. An untimely penalty, a missed field goal, a defensive breakdown at the end of the game. The Jets have lost 5 games by 7 points or less, and 3 games by a field goal or less. When your kicker is hitting just 60% of his attempts, it becomes very hard to win those close games. As a result, the Jets have brought in a couple of kickers this week to compete for the Thursday night gig and placed Greg Zuerlein on injured reserve, which almost assuredly marks the end of the Legatron era in New York. So will that minor tweak fix things for the Jets? Can one of the new guys convert enough kicks to put the Jets over the hump and stop the 5-game losing streak? I would argue that this change probably should have been made weeks ago, and that the change might have saved the Jets' season. But now it's likely too late to make a playoff run. The Texans are one of the better pass defenses in the league this season, while the run defense is good enough. They have a potent offense, although it's now missing a few key pieces, and they have one of the best kickers in the league in Kaimi Fairbairn. I think the kicking change will help the Jets convert more drives into points, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat a Texans team that has its eyes on a Super Bowl run this season. Look for Joe Mixon to be leaned on heavily, and for CJ Stroud to do just enough for the Texans to escape New York with a 23-17 win.